So hello to all viewers, wherever you may be. We hope you enjoyed our brief ThinkYoung video just then. My name's Betsy Lake, and my colleague Ulfet and I are very excited to be connected today with you virtually to deliver this presentation. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to Youth Time for organising this wonderful event. So with some luck right now, I should be able to share my screen to show you our PowerPoint presentation. So during the first part of the session, we will share some of the best practices that ThinkYoung has to offer prior to and during COVID-19. And in the second half of the session, which my colleague Ulfet will lead, we will emphasise that corporate social responsibility is no longer a nice to have, it is a must have. And NGO and corporate partnerships are becoming key in the evolving corporate world, and we will also discuss how these partnerships between corporations and NGOs and how corporate social responsibility can improve the world for youth. So there'll be different videos throughout the PowerPoint to allow you some small breaks from us talking, as well as some polls and a Q&A at the end. So we'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'd love to interact with you as much as possible. So please, if you're feeling brave, take part in the polls if you can, and direct any questions you have to the Q&A tab on the platform, and we'll get back to those at the end. We've also shared some interesting links and articles for you on the platform about many of the research projects and impact programs that we will go on to talk about in the presentation. So these are for you to access and look at if you're interested to read up further whenever you can. So just to go further into what the video at the beginning mentioned, ThinkYoung is the first think tank to focus on young people. We are an international not-for-profit NGO with over 10 years experience in identifying what the youth need. Therefore, we have a lot of knowledge of the youth sector in Asia, Africa, and especially Europe. We aim to make the world a better place for youth by involving them in decision-making processes and by providing decision and policy makers with high-quality research on key issues affecting young people. By collaborating with many outstanding public and private institutions and corporations, we've managed to support and inspire hundreds and thousands of young people all through over the world. We aim to make the world a better place for youth, and beginning in 2009 in Brussels, we have now also established offices in Geneva, Hong Kong, and Nairobi. So being a think tank, ThinkYoung conducts research first. This includes studies and surveys, interviews, focus groups, as well as data analysis to provide decision makers with rigorous insights on youth, such as Gen Y, Gen Z, and soon Gen Alpha. Our research is then instrumental in building impact programs, such as making campaigns, writing policy proposals, building schools and non-formal education programs, and creating capacity building initiatives for foundations, companies, and NGOs, all to improve the lives of young people. And then in our Hong Kong branch, we also have our ThinkYoung Audiovisual Laboratory. Here we conduct research and produce documentary films. We also train young researchers in filmmaking and multimedia projects. So far, our team has produced about 100 documentaries on youth in more than 30 different European and Asian countries. So COVID tested ThinkYoung's ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to evolve, just like all organisations globally. We made sure to become skilled at webinars and utilise all digital tools at our disposal to adjust all of our current and upcoming campaigns. This ensured all of our impact programmes and events were sustainable and unstoppable, meaning we could continue impacting and supporting youth at the time they arguably need it the most. We've received very positive responses from viewers, speakers, and participants for all of our COVID activities so far. But before we jump in to start telling you in detail about some of these impact programs, we would love to hear your thoughts first on what you think are the key topics that should be tackled concerning youth during this challenging time. So if you could please go to the poll tab and just enter any ideas you may have. I'll give you some time now to input any answers, and it should produce a nice worksheet. Just to get you thinking, some topics on the EU agenda this year include sustainability and digitalisation. So let's see if you have any ideas of your own. Great, I can see some answers coming in, that's great. Have a look. We've got a few responses so far. So we've got mental health, which is obviously very important in the recovery from COVID-19. System thinking, education is obviously a very good one. Great, I think that's enough answers. Thank you so much for your participation. Very interesting to hear some of your ideas. So now we can proceed, and I will tell you more about the projects and topics that ThinkYoung have seen as important to work on for youth. So thank you for participating there. So let's start with one of our campaigns. It's our Thinkathons. So our Thinkathons are essentially a hackathon. They provide a platform for transatlantic debate addressing our digital future and focuses on identifying the principles, processes and decisions that will lead to the most inclusive digital societies. The digital world, especially now due to COVID, is strongly influencing our real world and changing our concept of society. Together with the Goethe Institute and Care for Jeunesse Emploi NDG, and funded by the European Union, this 2-year project encouraged young participants to take these changes into account. We ended up managing to unite over 3,000 youth from Canada and over 20 European countries to work in teams, debating, developing, and presenting policy recommendations for Canadian and European policymakers to create a better and more inclusive digital world. We wanted to enable participants who had never before had their voices heard have the opportunity to express their expectations, barriers, and needs when it comes to their digital future. So this map right here just shows you where some of our 3,000 youth come from over Canada and Europe, but by far not all. So to go into more detail, we usually follow 4 main pillars for our Thinkathons. We have our 3-stage policy recommendation creation competition. Starts with the ideation phase. Then in our development and mentoring phase, we provide mentors who can help make their ideas more concrete and obviously provide participants with the final pitching session. And for our speaker series, high-level guests talk about a digitally inclusive future in regard to important topics to give participants invaluable knowledge and networking. We also organise guiding webinars, which provide more insights to help the participants create their policy recommendations and equip them with essential skills. Then we have our final ceremony, the project closing event, either at the European Parliament or online, COVID depending, of course. And this is where we bring together participants, jurors, and policymakers for the final pitching sessions of the policy recommendations, and a winner is picked. So before COVID, we held 2 on-site Thinkathons that lasted 24 hours each, with over 1,000 participants in total. Youth from Brussels and Montreal worked together to create videos and policy recommendations on the important topic of citizenship. And youth from Milan and Edmonton worked on social relations. As you can see from the pictures, collaboration form that we're not quite used to at the moment with COVID, but everyone brought together all over the world to create something important. So in light of COVID, we had to remodel the whole concept of our on-site Thinkathons. We instead moved to an online format, organising 3 online Thinkathon challenges in total. And this involved over 2,200 youth from Canada and Europe. We found the first online Thinkathon to be a great success, where teams could still create and collaborate virtually to produce these valuable policy recommendations, so we continue to organise them. And as you can see from the list, there are many essential topics covered in these Thinkathons. Just to name a few: racism, gender equality, climate change and education. And then from the photos, you can see the more virtual collaboration, the top picture showcasing our speaker series on how we can fight racism in a digital age. So after each Thinkathon, we publish these policy recommendations on different platforms. All policy recommendations created in the ideation phase of each event are published on our Agorise platform. This is for all to see and access, and we have originally shared this with the EU delegation in Canada as well. We've also created a manifesto with the winning policy recommendations of each event to send to policymakers and members of the European Parliament that we've worked with over the course of our Thinkathons. At the end of February this year, we organised a public event where we brought together policymakers from Europe and Canada, as well as the finalists of the events, to discuss these policy recommendations and see what could be actioned from these. We've also been running a continuous social media campaign with videos created by participants or our team to showcase the highlights of each event. And these videos so far have garnered over 533,000 views and counting. We plan to hold more Thinkathons in 2021, online or on site, but I'll let Ulvet tell you more about these later. And I've just got a video here now to show you, so you can see a bit more about what the online Thinkathons are about.
The format for the Thinkathon is a little bit different this year. Rather than the 24-hour Thinkathon, we've turned it into a 3-day virtual conference.
It goes so much deeper than just the city because the city has its own little neighborhoods, and I think Dominic, you said also, you just mentioned a street as well. So right now I'm kind of inspired by like how in Zoom we started from this big group, and then now we went into a smaller breakout room, and then an even smaller breakout room, and that's something that like we could use for inspiration.
I had a passion, I suppose, from technology and education, and that passion and that curiosity led me to want to make a change in the space. The Digital Youth Council is probably my most interesting work to date, in the sense of the impact that we had from not only a national perspective but from a global perspective.
My city is beautiful and smart. As a nursing student, for me it's important that my city provides healthcare facilities by one click on my smartphone. My smart city cares about my health. It informs me about the air status if there's a high level of contamination, artificial intelligence installed in municipal garbage bins to keep my city clean from infectious diseases. It suggests me parks and relaxing spots close by my workplace. To keep my mind healthy and stable, just need to share my location with an app. And it's all possible by using my smartphone. We just need to give our personal data and don't worry about it.
But wait, what about my data security and privacy? Every piece of technology, even light bulbs, are getting the smart treatment. This is great, but every day over 5 quintillion bytes of data are being generated by IoT devices alone. Imagine the sugar in a cup is the data being collected. Simple and easy, where and when. But now, with smart cities, so much data is being collected. We don't know what data is collected, when, how much, or how often. And now it's many different types of data all over coming together. We can't understand it. How can we create more transparent and clear laws? How can we as citizens know when and where our data is being taken? Yes, there are new and better laws, but we need to create more awareness and more information.
We seek cyber lawyers. We seek protection against data misuse and cyber attacks.
Right. Hope you enjoyed that video to see a bit more about what the online Thinkathons are about. Now I want to move on to tell you about a second campaign called the Young Coalition for Prevention and Vaccination. This 2-year campaign has obviously become very relevant at the moment, but vaccine hesitancy has always been worryingly present across Europe. The time is now, due to COVID-19, to induce sustainable behavioural change to ensure vaccination becomes a social norm, and we believe that the young generation can drive this change. So it all started with ThinkYoung research in 2017, where we wanted to investigate the perception and awareness level of vaccination among young Europeans. And we found that 35% of participants thought the risks outweigh the benefits of vaccination, the biggest fear and risk being the possible side effects. Therefore, we built the YC4PV in 2019 from 35 young professionals. engaged in either healthcare or health policy. They come from 20 EU countries, with the main aim being to advocate the importance of vaccination and prevention across Europe. And these young people in our coalition are leaders and play a role in shaping and influencing policy decisions as well as health behaviours. Also in 2019, we organised 3 seminars for our coalition members. This was to help equip them with the essential skills and knowledge so they could confidently advocate and influence. This covered topics such as prevention policies, value of vaccination and misinformation. Excitingly, we launched our manifesto at the start of 2020 in the European Parliament. This was in the presence of over 40 policymakers and healthcare organisations, and it involved 10 recommendations in the field of immunisation, covering a range of important actions needed, such as to do with education, digitalisation, and much more. So from the photos, you can see that we have many members and ambassadors to make up an effective and extensive network, and they help to spread the message of the YC4PV far and wide, using as many means as possible, online and offline. We also have the YC4PV campaign toolkit. This provides partner organisations and individuals with resources to support our online campaign. So during 2020, we held some different online events to keep the momentum going. Our webinar, COVID-19 and the EU Response, No Time to Rest, had speakers such as Isabel de la Mata from the European Commission and garnered over 1,000 views. Here, the panel discussed how we can combat misinformation online and what future measures and challenges will there be for the EU in response to COVID. We also conducted an online consultation and we published a report showcasing the views and experiences of youth in the health-related sector as a result of COVID-19. This covered impacts on mental health, on employment, education, concerns for the future, and vaccination awareness. This year, we're planning more webinars to debunk myths surrounding the new COVID-19 vaccine, and of course, to keep advocating as loudly as possible the importance of vaccination and prevention. So finally, I'd just like to talk to you about one of our schools, our Coding Summer School. So since 2012, ThinkYoung has been focusing on youth skills. We've been exploring the root causes of gaps between an individual's skills, the labour market demands, and the perceptions of those exposed to it, such as young job seekers and recruiters. We have published 4 reports as part of our Skills Mismatch research series. Our 2014 Skills Mismatch research showcased the alarming gender disparity in STEM, with ICT being the STEM sector with the biggest gender gap. Here, the idea for the coding school was born to break the traditional stereotype that STEM and ICT is not for women. We hope to overcome male domination in the ICT sector by giving young girls female role models, early experiences of computer science, and by building a supportive environment capable of instilling confidence and interest. Also, the changing economy and society, as well as advances in the digital technology, has led to the need for more skilled ICT professionals in all sectors, and yet education globally is struggling to adapt and fulfil these future job market needs by insufficiently preparing youth with the digital and STEM skills required. Therefore, also one of our main goals of the coding school is to train and equip youth in demand-driven coding schools and help them pursue a higher education path and career in STEM, and therefore helping to reduce youth unemployment. In these schools, we only use coding practitioners and experts as teachers, such as software and computer engineers. They design and deliver the courses. In this way, students of all backgrounds are taught the basics of computer programming by a range of interactive approaches, such as workshops, guest lecturers, practical activities, and real-world applications. So students have the chance over the programme to create their own computer science projects, such as apps, websites, and products. And these are based around different technologies, including robots, drones, virtual reality, and web design. We bring real-life robots and drones to the schools as well. And this is to really hope to engage and inspire them so they can apply these skills we teach for longer lasting and impactful learning. So as you can see from the timeline here, our first coding school in 2016, And with the support of companies like Boeing and Google, we have since managed to educate around 600 teens in Europe and Kenya, over 60% of them being girls, in coding, educating them in coding in a stimulating and inclusive learning context. We've had 9 schools so far in Brussels, Nairobi, as well as Amsterdam. We also have 21 ambassadors in total, 5 of which are policymakers, such as EU Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, Maria Gabriel, and MEP Ava Maidal. We also have 16 young ambassadors who have taken part in previous coding schools. They're all about 11 to 15, love coding, and they think coding is the future. So they are very passionate about helping to educate their peers in this. Also, we've managed to arrange 2 conferences in the European Parliament, invited and hosted by MEP Lieve Weerink, to complement the Europe Code Week. And we've presented our coding school as the best practice for STEM and ICT education. And through institutional collaborations, such as the US mission to the EU, we've managed to have the US ambassador of the time to attend the conference. We've also involved MEPs, EU commissioners, experts from the private and public sector, and participants from previous schools. After each school, we also like to gather data to show the impact that we've had, and of course to try and improve for the future. So we're very happy to find out that from our surveys, such as from the 2017 school, 76% of the students stated they were likely to study STEM subjects at a higher level. So we aim to continue focusing on increasing the participation of underserved African and European youth and females. So in the last year, due to the pandemic, we have witnessed the deepening need for digital skills to allow kids to continue accessing education at a time when they cannot be in the classroom. And remote working will likely continue being important in the future. Therefore, we thought it as vital as ever to continue the coding school in 2020. So we held 2, one in Nairobi and one in Brussels, with over 100 participants in total. We also had some special guests, in person or virtually, and some young ambassadors to help us. For instance, Mr. Jerome Ochieng, Principal Secretary for ICT and Innovation, visited our Nairobi coding school, and for our Brussels coding school, EU Commissioner Maria Gabriel did an online intervention to motivate and inspire the students. But of course, it was our priority to ensure the safety of the children during the school, so a number of measures were put in place. As you can see, there's an extensive list here, and we also tried to ensure smaller groups at one time of children than we have in previous schools. So this just helped to ensure that they could continue learning these essential skills in an enjoyable and safe environment. So we're planning on doing 2 more coding schools in 2021 in Brussels and Nairobi again, since they were so successful. And yet again, I'll leave this to Ulfet to tell you more about this later. So now I just wanted to show you a quick video showing some of EU Commissioner Maria Gabriel's wise words to the kids of the 2020 Brussels Coding School.
I'd like really to start by congratulating you. I think that it's an amazing experience that you will live. Today, coding is one of our languages that are superpowers. So you can use them to do whatever you want. You can express yourselves, you can produce things, you can create. And I think that what is quite important, it's really to preserve your passion. Your passion, I think maybe some of you like paint, or like others like cars or sports, or you like animals. I would like really here to challenge you, because I will be very curious to learn how do you think that you can apply what you learn these days about coding to your passions.
So I would like them to explain me and the teenagers like me to help us understand how the society of the future will look like, so we'll have an easier time choosing our future job.
You can use coding in your daily life to create websites. You can use it to troubleshoot things, and it also gives you a better understanding of how websites work.
school how to create a website. And I think it's very important because for future jobs, it can help in many ways.
In my daily life, I'm not sure how to apply it to anything that I already do, but I think that it's good on its own, really. It can help me automate things like moving files and organizing folders.
Well, I enjoyed the coding summer school very much. I felt it was an experience that you don't get to experience every day. It's very good. I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope to come back here another time.
Skills-wise, I think learning languages is good too, so then you can work around the world and you could speak to different people.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Gabriel, for coming and sending your messages to the Coding Summer School. We started out, it was 5 years ago, with the support of Boeing. It was a great beginning, and we've literally taken the Coding Summer School in different countries. We've been in Belgium, in the Netherlands, we've been in Africa. The project is growing, we're very happy. We're very happy that we could give this opportunity to the families as well, and the kids that they come from a difficult time during this COVID-19. So thanks again to the Commissioner, and thanks Kim and all the team of Boeing for the support. So from ThinkYoung, a big thank. And Kim, if you want to say something.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Commissioner Gabriel. We were absolutely delighted that you were able to attend and found your words extremely inspiring to the kids, and your challenge to them that they should continue to ask questions and push boundaries and do things for themselves. I thought was just a delightful message, and we hope to have you again in the future. Thank you to Andrea and ThinkYoung. We've had a wonderful partnership these last several years, and we look forward to looking for new opportunities to make sure that coding and STEM education as a whole continues to be funded by the Boeing Company and other companies. Thanks again.
So hope you enjoyed seeing you, Commissioner Mary Gabrielle, there. So I think it's safe to say that we managed to thrive in COVID, having held 3 online Thinkathons, 2 coding schools, and 19 webinars since September 2020. And not only was this more sustainable environmentally, such as due to saving on travelling, commuting, hiring conference rooms and hotel rooms, but importantly, we ensured that we remained relevant and impactful, so our campaigns could, no matter where they are and no matter the emerging external obstacles. And due to the very accessible nature of these online events, it enabled youth who had never had the opportunity until now to more easily join our projects. So we just wish to end the first section by thanking and mentioning the thousands of people who have been involved in ThinkYoung over the years, without whom we would not have had such an impact and such success. This includes so many people, such as our young participants of our research projects and impact programs, policymakers, of course, our partners and organisations, and entrepreneurs, and many more. We want to bring everyone together in a connected ThinkYoung community by involving these already appreciated and dedicated members, and also by expanding to include new valued members, individuals, or organisations. So we are planning to form a nurturing global ThinkYoung network benefiting everyone, hopefully continuing to increase ThinkYoung's impact and reach. So if interested in taking a leading role in crucial topics and making a positive difference, then please register your interest. The link is on our profile on the platform. Of course, you can also contact us directly after the presentation, and we will be uploading this presentation after we finish today, so the links are also on there. We'd love to see as many of you as possible. I'll now pass you over to my colleague Ulfet to show the important connections between NGOs like us and corporations. Thank you for listening.
I'm Ulfet, I'm from ThinkYoung, and I'm communications assistant, so I'm everything communication, so hopefully I do a good job of communicating how beneficial NGO and corporate partnerships are. So let's see if I can get my screen sharing. Let's get started. As I was saying, I'm Ulfa Enver, Communication Assistant at ThinkYoung. So today I want to tell you guys just why corporate responsibility is vital and how NGO partnerships are essential to corporations. So let's begin. Poverty, injustice and discrimination. So in a world where many urgent problems need tackling, surely two heads are better than one, right? So that's why collaborations between both NGOs and corporations are so essential. So where money and expertise come together to create projects for social change. And this is becoming increasingly popular throughout the 21st century as well. So at ThinkYoung, as mentioned by Betsy herself, thank you, we aim to make a world for better, we aim to make a world a better place for young people. And we aim to do so by establishing relationships between policymakers, corporations, and young people to influence the next generation. So throughout the years, we have partnered with corporations such as Boeing, Google, and Ericsson. And consequently, this allowed us to transform the lives of so many different young people all across Africa, Europe, and Asia, and even North America. So without corporate support, we simply will not be able to carry out such vital change. But why are NGO partnerships essential, you may ask? Okay, that's why today we're exploring why these partnerships are so essential for the future. We explore here two main areas. So one, why NGOs partnerships are so essential and why corporate responsibility is so vital. We'll explore this through this lens of ThinkYoung and through as a millennial and Gen Z myself. I'm 1997, so I cover both lovely generations to answer these two critical questions. So to everyone watching, please send in any questions you may have and please go ahead and try out our polls on the platform. So you may ask, why are NGO partnerships so essential to corporations? So number one, corporations need NGO expertise. And number two, corporations need to adapt to the future. So first, let's explore why corporations need NGO expertise. So at ThinkYoung, we conduct thorough research to provide decision makers with extensive information and insights on young people. So you can find our most recent research paper in our community tab or on our website under our research tab. So we have so many exciting upcoming research papers that you'll love to read as well. So keep an eye on that on our social media and keep up to date with our website as well. So as well as research, we have so many great impact programs, as Betsy went through as well, and films that collectively provide the expertise and opportunities needed by corporations to thrive and create that social positive impact. We enable corporations to bring about transformative change and impact. So first, let's talk about our skills mismatch 4. So at ThinkYoung, we conducted thorough research to provide decision makers with extensive information and insights on young people. So our 2020 paper, Skills Mismatch 4, is a key example of just how vital NGO expertise is to corporations. Our research reveals that in East African countries have continued to show significant gender gaps and socioeconomic gaps in relation to 21st century skills such as coding. So we found that to ensure continued economic development, there must be an investment in human capital and future cohorts. It is also highlighted our 4 key priority action areas for the EAC nations to tackle the issues of demographic divisions and the skills mismatch. So this report is essential to corporations to build their knowledge and research in East African countries. Corporations who are looking to expand in these nations need this research in order to gain their own knowledge and to make sure they have a successful impact over there. So our research allows us to identify significant gaps and develop impact programs alongside corporations to tackle these issues firsthand. So without our research on skills mismatch in East Africa, we will not be able to have developed our coding summer school in Nairobi alongside our corporate partners, Google and Boeing, and tackle the mismatched skills directly. So then we did our Workplace of the Future webinar only just last September. So here our research is essential not only for corporate ventures abroad, but for their own workplace. So as remote working becomes more normalized from the pandemic, we aim to find out just how remote working will become more normalized because of the pandemic, and we aim to find out what effect it would have post-COVID-19 in our webinar back in September. So you can check that out on our YouTube channel as well. We joined forces with researchers such as Gudrid Ingestan, who is Director General of Human Resources at the European Commission, and even an investor to find the answer. So this essential conversation was key for corporations to understand the demographic change. So not only this, but it enabled corporations to understand that the younger generation's demands are here and what they are. So as our workplace priorities and desires are completely changing and evolving every day, we are calling for a move away from this more traditional workplace, and we're desiring more flexibility with a focus on skills development. So without these essential conversations, corporations simply cannot adapt their workplaces. So then, not only are we calling for desires of change in the workplace, but on the European governance as a whole. So later this year, we'll be publishing our next paper, Next Generation EU, Millennials and Gen Z Dialogue on Europe. So this builds on our previous paper called Millennial Dialogue, and the results of this extraordinary research captures millennials' views on the biggest challenges facing Europe at such a decisive moment in history. So these papers provide an essential insight into the needs and views of our generations. The expertise and the time required to undertake this extensive research is impossible for corporations to do on their own. So NGOs like us, we have the researchers and the experience to collect these in-depth data on these key issues facing young people. So that's why it's so vital that these corporations have the expertise and support from NGOs, because otherwise they simply won't have the knowledge to build their own workplace. Okay, this leads us to our second point. Partnerships like ThinkYoung, partnerships with NGOs like ThinkYoung are essential for the success of corporations because of our fast developing world. So at ThinkYoung, we make it a priority to produce vigorous information on young people. So that can be used to help leaders, CEOs, whether in politics or in business, make the most appropriate decisions based on their needs and conditions. So the corporate world is ever changing, and as our generations continue to grow and make an impact, the business world is starting to feel these increased changes. So through NGO partnerships, we can provide corporations with the data needed to adapt successfully. So according to an online global study by Nielsen, 3 out of 4 millennials were willing to pay more for an item that was produced by a company that was dedicated to sustainability. So this highlights just how important it is for corporations to adapt to our generations. We want a more sustainable, diverse, and inclusive society. So we want corporations to offer just that. So what did we find? So analyzing our own data, as well as our reports, we concluded that millennials and generals, like myself, have 3 key priorities. So number 1, we prioritize purpose. We feel a direct connection between our own daily lives and how our actions impact our communities as a whole. So we prioritize companies that have corporate social responsibility that we can get behind, and at least programs that help have companies have a global impact. And number 2, we prioritize sustainability. We take great pride in companies that have environmentally friendly initiatives. We want to associate with a company that is earth conscious and does that they can reduce their carbon footprint. And third, and finally, we want to prioritize social responsibility. So we want to associate with a corporation that we feel is socially responsible. So this element of a company is vital to us feeling both satisfied and happy. So I want to ask you, what do you think your key corporate priority is? Do you think it's maybe a positive mission, purpose, sustainability, responsibility, or even revenue? So go ahead in our poll section. I'll give you about 60 seconds to answer, and we'll go and check that out. So as you're doing that, I'm just going to explain to you that what we do on our social media at ThinkYoung. So don't forget to follow and like us on social media. And every week we produce new videos which we talk about these very key issues relating to youth. And as well, we have our newsletter where we look at and analyze the most recent data coming from NGOs and corporations all across the world. So don't forget to check that out and subscribe. So I'll give you another 15 more seconds to have a look, and then we're going to have a look at our polls. So what is your key corporate priority? So I see quite a few responses here. So we see the most popular one, or actually the two most popular ones, is positive motive and purpose and sustainability. So it's nice to see that positive purpose and sustainability, as we previously highlighted, is very important for everyone. So thank you all for your poll answers. Okay, let's keep on going. So since the onset of the pandemic, these priorities have taken the forefront and reinforced corporate desires to help drive positive change. So the Yout Global Survey in 2020 revealed just how barely half, 51% of young people said business is a force of good, and only 41% agreed that businesses in general were having a positive impact on wider society. So corporations need to adapt, otherwise they'll face a loss in business. They need to ensure that they have a strong social impact. We want socially responsible companies at the end of the day. Corporations can only do this through NGO partnerships. So now that we've explored just why NGO partnerships are essential, are key, it's time to explore just why corporations should have social responsibility. So corporations still may feel they should not hold social responsibility due to their resources, but this is not all corporations. So maybe some may feel this way, but it's not a nice to have anymore. I think it must be an essential, and that all corporations should be taking some form of corporate social responsibility. So what is corporate social responsibility, you may ask? Well, it's about the impact that organization makes on society through maintaining accountability to its stakeholders. So why should corporate responsibility be a vital consideration? So there are three main huge benefits, not only to corporations, but to young people and NGOs. So number one, it connects to young people. Number two, it improves the corporate bottom line. And number three, it creates new opportunities to help make the world a better place. So let's explore these three huge benefits. So young people are prosperous to making a better future. So say by founder Andrea Gerosa, the corona crisis accelerates digitalization, but the needs of young people are rarely considered in shaping such a process. As digital natives, they can help define the most appropriate digital solutions for a more just society. So we're already leading change across the world here at ThinkYoung, and we will do for decades to come. So just like our YC4PV coalition, who are leading the way to a more healthier future in Europe, they continue to inspire others to do the same. So we're reacting to global major issues, and we want to push leaders to fight more aggressively on issues, to developing more better solutions, from the refugee crisis to climate change. So it is more vital than ever that our voices as young people are heard by corporations. So that's why at ThinkYoung, we want to connect corporations to young people. And we want to do this by giving young people the platform to fight for a better future. So we're connecting young people to those who have the power to make that big difference in the world. So that's why we created our Thinkathon challenges. As Betsy spoke about, over the past 30 years, technological development has fundamentally changed our world. And we are now at crossroads. So it is crucial that we explore the potential benefits and drawbacks to these changes. So our Thinkathon challenges offer young people the opportunity to influence policy decisions that lead to a more inclusive digital society. So this project is fundamental to connecting youth to decision makers and corporations. The Thinkathon has provided great insight into youth. Not only have we had the chance to have their voices heard, we have the chance to understand them better as well. So we showcase their needs and expectations and barriers about their digital future. And young people are shaping our future, and corporations need to hear our voices and values and make them align. But surely as well, but what monetary value would corporate social responsibility have towards corporations? Yes, it helps to build consumer research, but does it really have that much of effect? You may ask as well. Well then yes, I will tell you just why. In a report by ILO LCC and the Association of Corporate Citizenship Professionals, it shows a clear advantage of corporate responsibility to corporations. Results showed that social investments, including partnerships with NGOs, can deliver up to a 6% increase in shared prices, as well as a number of other perks, as you can see on the presentation. So as we explored earlier, the corporate world is transforming due to millennials and Gen Z, and NGO partnerships ensures corporations to take a positive step forward. So not only are we changing both market demands, but we are transforming the structure of the corporate and business worlds. So since the onset of the pandemic, young people have increased digital adoption, learning new skills, thinking creatively, and even developing their own businesses. So recent research from ASDA's BCW found that we are looking beyond more traditional sector jobs, even switching to entrepreneurship. So in such an ever-demanding world, it is vital that young people are given the best opportunities to becoming successful entrepreneurs. So corporate entrepreneurship in particular can offer corporations higher productivity, engagement, and growth. With adept entrepreneurs, we can offer the creative solutions to our fast and changing worlds. So at ThinkYoung, we saw that the education system was not giving young entrepreneurs the essential tools to thrive. So we believe that the most effective way to learn was from first-hand experience from actual entrepreneurs. So since 2011, we have been running the Entrepreneurship School, where we aim to bridge the gap between entrepreneurship education and innovative learning. So we've educated over 4,000 students in 50 countries to become forward thinkers and prosperous entrepreneurs. So impact programs like the Entrepreneurship School are needed to ensure growth in today's world. Corporate entrepreneurship has become more necessary than ever for improving the corporate bottom line. So without NGO and corporation programs like this, corporations are unable to provide the next generation of entrepreneurs with the essential skills to transform corporations and their markets. But corporate social responsibility is not just vital for monetary gain. Corporations have the funds and the resources to make the world a better place. So when a mission is shared between two people, issues are given more exposure and they're given more time and resources. So at ThinkYoung, we partner with corporations for this exact reason. Combining both sectors, we are able to deliver our aim of making the world a better place for young people. So when the goal is shared, gains can be far greater than just improving the corporate bottom line. Resources and expertise are leveraged to transform the world and maximize social impact. So let's explore two main impact programs that we have here at ThinkYoung and how these partnerships are so vital to creating a better future for the young generations. So back in 2016, unemployment was at a record high with 1 million vacant jobs in the European IT industry. So that's why we partnered with both Boeing and Google ever since to host our coding summer schools in both Brussels, Nairobi, and even Amsterdam. So as a result of our partnership, corporations such as Boeing and Google have acted and inspired teenagers all around the world to understand that in today's tech-focused world, coding is an essential. So our combined expertise has allowed us to train over 600 young people in both coding and programming. So this month we'll be hosting our 10th coding summer school in Nairobi, Kenya. So where we'll be educating over 60 young people, 54% girls and the rest boys. And here we aim to break the gender stereotypes in STEM and introduce more young girls into the wonderful world of computer science. So check out our social media pages and our latest editions to keep up with the amazing things that young people are doing in coding. So our 2021 coding summer school in Brussels will focus on the topics of environment and sustainability. So we want to show just how coding is having a positive impact, especially in the fight against climate change. So our new focus will allow us not only to impact the hundreds of young people in Europe and Africa, but will allow us to think of more innovative ways of making the world a better place and ensuring a better and healthier future for the next generations. So without the combination of Boeing, Google, and ThinkYoung, We simply cannot work towards rectifying the skills gap and changing the lives of so many young people. So last year, we hosted a number of outstanding guests in our webinar, such as Peter Lauren, who is the Senior Vice President of Ericsson. And this is what he had to say about the importance of corporate social responsibility. So that's a huge opportunity that we need to leverage. We need to connect corporations and let young people bring up their ideas. So we are doing just that at ThinkYoung. Our 5 Thinkathons so far have allowed us to educate over 2,000 young people across Europe and Canada to make their mark towards building a more digitally inclusive future. So at ThinkYoung, we're going to continue providing youth the platform to do so with our 2021 Thinkathons. So they will have the opportunity to speak up and determine the future on topics such as digitalization, climate change, and gender equality. So without these corporate collaborations, we will not be able to create such impactful programs that give young people such amazing opportunities to share their voices and build their confidence to becoming tomorrow's leaders. Our goal here is to empower young people and bring them to the forefront of decision making. In early 2021, we'll be showcasing the amazing ways in which young Europeans have harnessed digital tools to deal with the pandemic. So our goal here is to empower young people and to start a vital conversation about how we can make the world a better place despite such difficult times. So young people are already leading the way towards positive change. We want to give them the spotlight that they well deserve. So keep up to date on our social media and website to find these amazing stories. So over the past 2 years, thousands of young people have been involved in our Thinkathon project that has shaped our digital future and helped build a digitally inclusive society. But the fight is not yet over. And we are currently developing a coalition on digital individuals who want to create a difference to make a world a better place. If you are interested in making a national and even international impact, please register interest and fill out the form that you can find on our platform. So, corporate social responsibility is no longer nice to have. It's an essential. The corporate world is ever changing, and corporate standards are on display more than ever before. So embedding corporate social responsibility into practice is best done through NGO partnerships. The collaboration between both NGOs and corporations are what fueling positive change in the world. So that rich experience and the groundwork of NGOs combined with corporate resources is a key mix to ensuring that the world can be a better place for future generations. So this is so looking through the lens of both ThinkYoung and as both a millennial and Gen Z myself, we can see that the world is going to become a better place as long as corporations and NGOs continue to put their heads together and work in partnership. So as well, our expertise and experience can help make corporations stay accountable for social corporate responsibility. So thank you very much. I hope you all had a very educating talk on how NGOs and corporate responsibility makes this so vital for our ever-changing world. So I'd like to pose you guys some questions, so please feel free in the chat and to ask any questions for myself and Betsy. So do we have any questions available, Betsy, at the moment?
Yes, we do. We've had quite a few questions so far, so thank you everyone for putting in your thoughts and participating. It's great. I see that one of the questions talk about the Thinkathons that I discussed at the start of the presentation. That reads from Navina. Thank you, Navina. How do ThinkYoung come up with their specific topics and themes for your Thinkathons? Is this through research programs? And if so, do you have some suggestion on where other people can access the research data to help them identify their areas of focus and help make a difference? So just to answer this question, our research team do conduct some projects to identify important topics for our Thinkathons, and they definitely try and look around the world for current events to get inspiration for this. So that's why in our most recent Thinkathon we had things such as gender equality, racism, obviously with the Black Lives Matter movement, and health with the COVID-19, of course. But unfortunately these papers aren't published, so they aren't accessible to the public. Sorry about that, Navina. But don't worry, go onto our website and there'll be many other ways that we suggest that you can help make a difference with many topics that we're working on at the moment.
I see another question. So you mentioned the work you do in Nairobi. So I'm aware you're supported by EU funding. So I was wondering what partnerships you have made in order to reach a wider society outside of Europe, and how you have any tips on making these relationships. So just to give you an example, we're trying to partner with a coding summer school, another coding society platform that focuses on Europe and the world in particular. So it's not focused on Europe or Nairobi. So we're developing new MOOCs, developing new opportunities, even online for our coding schools. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add for that funding there. So we rely on EU funding as Ulfet was mentioning, that we also rely on funding from organisations. And so we have our team in Africa that work on the partnerships and external relations, as well as our team in Brussels. And we first conduct the research in Africa to try and identify the specific needs of the region. And then from this, we identify and contact the specific stakeholders that we think can support. And we also participate in events related to Africa to try and strengthen the Africa-Europe relationship there. So we try to make relationships to increase the impact of our activities in Africa. And I also see another question about our activities in Kenya, which is great, from Amos. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, but thank you for your question. And you've asked that, do you have plans to extend to other parts of Africa, especially West Africa, where I come from? And are you willing to partner with small organisations in countries like Liberia in order to lift them to getting on the path in the new digital age? So we started in Kenya, but we are always happy to speak to representatives from other parts of Africa and see potential for opportunities for collaborations. We're always looking to extend our outreach and our impact, just as we've done in Europe and Asia. So yes, definitely something that we would always be interested in. So thank you for that question.
Brilliant. So one last question. So it's from Olivia Hupp. So do you believe corporations are doing enough in terms of corporate social responsibility, adapting a meaningful way for long-term effect, or are they doing enough to publicize millennials and Gen Z? The latter, how can they be addressed and rectified? Well, to answer your question, I think a lot of corporations are doing the best that they can to work with NGOs and to creating a better impact. Obviously, there are some that can work towards creating a better future and can better use their resources to make the world a better place, but I think that is dependent on a corporation. So I think on the majority scale, I've seen a lot of great big corporations really do push social change. So I would definitely believe that corporations are doing quite a bit at the moment for corporate social responsibility. Thank you for your question. So just to end our lovely presentation. Thank you again to Betsy for the first half of the presentation. Very insightful. And I hope you all had a better understanding of the relationships between NGOs and corporations. So just to finish up, you can contact ThinkYoung on our general information email, info@thinkyoung, or if you have any media inquiries, contact myself at media@thinkyoung.eu. Please go ahead, follow us on media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and even TikTok. So if you're a fan of TikTok, give us a like, give us a follow. So we hope to see you soon. Hope to hear from you again. Betsy, any final words?
Thanks, Ulfet. Yeah, just great how much participation we had. So thank you to everyone for the polls and the questions and for watching us today. It's been a great session and we hope that you have enjoyed it as much as we have. And thank you, Michael, for being here to iron out any technical issues as well.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you all for being here. I found it really informative to show off what you guys do and how great it is, and it links to CSR massively. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Michael. Been a great event.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Very much.